interesting thing about it, the Smiley Face Killers. For those of you joining for the first time, maybe you're watching this, you've never come across the channel, you don't know what this is. Low Value Mail is the best call-in show on the internet. Am I a little biased? Maybe. But it's kind of like a... I want to say it was like... I was wanting to say it's like a kind of a more modern version of Coast to Coast, but it's just AM radio. But it's on the internet. It's AM radio on the internet, but it's not censored. And we don't have an advertisement every 4 seconds like on Coast to Coast. So... a little bit about our guests before we get started. We're going to bring him on very shortly. William Ramsey, he's an attorney, author, and a researcher. He's written many books: Prophet of Evil, Abomination, Children of the Beast, Global Death Cult, and the Smiley Face Killers. He's also made 5 documentaries: Occult Hollywood, Prophet of Evil, Smiley Face Killers, Volume 1 and 2, and Children of the Beast. And we'll get into a lot of stuff, but we're going to talk about the Smiley Face Killers because I think they're around where I live. That's why. And somewhere that I frequent. And we were just off air, and he brought it up, and I go, I was going to ask you about that. So we're going to get there. Before anything, please like and subscribe. There's still like 25% of you who watch this show every week who are cowards and are not subscribed to this channel. So please hit that subscribe button. Hopefully I'm not going to get... I got a copyright strike on my other channel for all these AI videos that I've been doing. Hope you've been enjoying them. If you've missed them, you're missing out. That's all I've been doing for the last week is just cranking out fake news. I have been... Mark says I have a lot of headroom here. Do I? I feel like there's a normal amount of headroom. Shout out to our producer, lovely Mark. He'll be answering the phones all night. But anyways, subscribe, like the stream, subscribe. If you're listening over on Spotify, leave a review. It actually does help. And if you would like to support the show even more than that, if you're one of, thousands of listeners, please consider signing up for the Patreon, $5 a month, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL, or you can just join the channel here. It's $1. For if you subscribe to the Patreon, you get all the episodes, if you're an audio listener, ad-free. There's a Discord, which I haven't been in 8 months. God knows what's going on in there. Probably bad things. If I know anything about Discord, bad things are happening in there. But you can get access to it. What are you going to do in there? I don't know. And as always, I will, if you have any questions for the guest and you want to drop a super chat, I will... I'll ask the question to the guest, as long as they're real questions. Sometimes it's just like, are you gay? I'm like, you think I'm going to ask that? Okay. New episode of The Bathhouse tomorrow night. If you're in Vegas or if you're going to Skankfest this weekend, I'll be there. Come say what's up. If any of you there and you see me, come say hi. Don't be shy. Come say hi. I'm going to try and do a bathhouse at Skankfest. I don't know if it's feasible. The internet there is really bad in that little movie theater complex. So we're going to try. No guarantees. But we got a new episode tomorrow night. And then if you want to catch me live on the road, I got some road dates coming up. Baltimore, that's coming up October 10th. Tampa, October 20th. Albany, New York, December 4th. And Hartford, Connecticut, December 5th. Tickets at DannyComedy.com. People are talking about Red Green Show in the chat. I hated that show. That guy was from my hometown, Burlington, Ontario. Just didn't get it. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't for me. I liked this show better. The Hilarious House of Frightenstein. If you've never seen it, check it out. It's fucking weird. Okay. That's enough. It's enough chit chat. Our guest is waiting. Okay, what do we do here? Okay, gotta move me over here. Do this. Okay, we're almost there. Just gonna unmute our guest, and there we go. William Ramsey, welcome to Low Value Mail. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Danny. Good to be with you. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for not thank you for having me. Thank you for coming on. I was listening to some podcasts you did this afternoon, And so you have a bunch of topics that you research. I wanted to talk about the smiley face killers. I actually wasn't super familiar with this, and it doesn't. So tell people about it, because it's kind of like a weird one. It's not like a central. And I've also been listening a lot to Martyr Made's Jim Jones podcast, and it's all Jim Jones. And obviously you go into cults, and that was like a crazy cult. And so, so tell people about the smiley face killers for those who are unaware.
It got its name from two investigators. One's name was Gannon, and the other Gilbertson. Gannon was a New York City cop, and they found that there were young men dying, disappearing, later to be found in water. And then there would be a smiley face near these deaths. So they always happened at night. They're very mysterious. And it got this kind of appellation, this name, smiley face killers. And these kinds of deaths started in the mid-90s. Actually, the first one, kind of victim zero, was a guy who went to Fordham and was later found in the Owl's Head water purification place down, I think, the Hudson River. And that was in 1997. His name was Patrick McNeil. But it's kind of grown out. It seemed to have been a regional phenomenon. New York City, a little bit of Chicago, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And then that it kind of has morphed into a more all over the U.S. really, and the world. And there's been a lot of cases that have hit the news, like the national and international news, particularly the ones that have happened in Austin in the last 2 years. There's been about 12.
And they have had a smiley face accompanying them always, or just sometimes?
Sometimes. Some of the early ones, that's how it got its name. They really found a lot of these deaths had a spray painted smiley face, usually in a red or orange spray paint, as weird as that sounds. But the newer ones, people haven't found them as much, which is odd. But it still has that same kind of MO, where a young man is out, usually at a bar, gets separated from his friends, disappeared longer than maybe he should have been. And after a long search and some media attention, he's found in water. So I would say that would be the definition, like always happening at night.
At night.
But yes,
and in water. And is it like, what is your contention about this? Is there some sort of organized things? Are these copycats?
I think both. I think that it's organized and copycats. And I think it's interesting because this phenomenon has started as the advent of the internet. So I think that somebody's communicating either through message boards or FetLife or something about these types of cases. But it's different because usually women are targeted for druggings or GHB druggings, but these are men. And oftentimes I do think they're drugged. And I think that they're kept for very perverse purposes. That's what I think is going on.
Sure. And are there like open are investigators, like whoever would be investigating serial killers, I suppose, like, are they looking into these as some kind of pattern? Like, what happens when a new one kind of pops up?
It's a good question. You think there would be. And I think that really what's happened is something odd, which I didn't expect, is actually they're being covered up. I think they're being covered up in Austin, in Boston, and Chicago. Even though they've had these huge cases, they haven't really informed the public. But I think that they are being investigated. One of the things about this type of crime is it's kind of like a perfect crime in a way, because the police just chalk it up to accidental drowning and they don't do a lot of research. And then the case is closed. They close the books and move forward. So my contention is, and I think I can win this argument 100% of the time, that these aren't accidental. One of the things that all these guys have in common in my book, you showed a cover of my book on the thumbnail for this, things. But there's like 375 cases, and all of them have disappeared at night, and nobody sees them go into water. So it's differentiated from what you would call a standard drowning. So if I told you, like, I'm going to the lake, I'm a terrible swimmer, it's 3 p.m., and I drowned, it would be like categorized as a drowning. But these are categorized as a drowning, but nobody sees them drowned. And there's actually a recent case, a big case this year, of a young man named Riley Strain in Nashville. We can go in detail on that because the elements to that case are really crazy. But he was found dry drowned, which means that he did not have water in his lungs. So this is something not consistent with drowning.
So that's what, like an asphyxiation kind of thing?
Well, I think there's a lot of
He's found in water, but no water in the lungs?
Yeah. So Riley Strain disappeared in March 2024 from Nashville. He was downtown. And it's become kind of like a place to traffic to for country western. A lot of country western celebrities have their own bars there.
Sure,
And
yeah.
he was at the
Nashville's a
Luke
fun
Bryan.
time.
Yeah, he was at the Luke Bryan bar. He had traveled from Springfield, Missouri, with his frat brothers and went to Luke Bryan's. He'd been drinking. It seems like he'd been drinking all day, but he got kicked out of the bar pretty young at 9:30 at night. I'm pretty early, excuse me, 9:30 at night, and by 10 p.m. he had disappeared, and there was a huge search for him. But yeah, he was found in this water, and they just 2 weeks later, after a huge search and international news, they just chalked it up to an accidental drowning and moved forward.
Huh. And what about Austin? Because you're saying that it used to be just kind of East Coast. It's starting to. How many cases have been reported in Austin of similar?
I think 12 to 15. They're starting to cover them up. So there's some very strange cases, and pretty interesting aspects to it. Is you're somebody who's in the kind of comedy world.
Sure.
There's one of them that came from a Tom Segura show.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, his name was Christian Pugh. And there's actually a video of Tom Segura talking to Christian Pugh, who left a party. I think he left one of the comedy shows and was disappeared and found in the bushes near Lady Bird Lake. He had been out unconscious for 60 hours, and he had very severe injuries. So he was kind of one who seemed to have survived. I suspect he was left for dead. But there is a connection to that. And there was also another young man who died kind of fairly recently. He was from Israel. His name was Eli Blau. And he was in Austin to take part in the comedy scene. He loved comedy. So he had flown from Israel and was going to comedy shows every night. And he disappeared. And he was found near Lady Bird Lake. But one of the interesting elements of his, and I've done a lot of research on this, and I got firsthand information that the first he was 25 years old, and the police said there was a heart attack. So and I know somebody who had a picture. I mean, there's other people researching this stuff. So
Sure.
I know somebody who had like crime scene pictures. He clearly was a young, kind of healthy guy. And then they said he shot himself in the head. And so the police are changed the story, but he fit all the kind of parameters.
I mean, how could that be that one, they start with heart attack and then you wind up with a gunshot to the head?
Right.
Was there a weapon found?
I didn't see one in the pictures that I saw. I didn't even see a gun in his hand, or there shouldn't be a gun in his hand if you.
I mean, it seems pretty crazy that you'd go to Austin for a vacation and then come across a gun and then commit suicide. That seems pretty tough to believe.
It's the same parameter. He went to a show, and I think he went to get something to eat and disappeared.
Yeah.
And then was found like 3 days later. And kind of in a taunting place, literally at the part of Lady Bird Lake, that if you went north, you would be at City Hall. Like,
right.
It's really almost a stone's throw.
That's where the bats come out of, right? I think they have the bats come out every night. And so you're implying that there's some cover up here. Safe to say.
By the authorities, yes.
By the authorities, what is their reasoning, incentives to do something like that?
That's a great question. I think there's a lot. I think one is that a lot of these towns rely on tourist monies. Like there's an insane amount of tourist trade in Austin. It's like $6 billion. It's not in the millions, it's in the billions with conventions and things like that. So I think there's an incentive not to panic the public, that somebody like you could end up going to Rainy Street and ending up dead.
Sure.
So I think that's the same in all these places. Boston has the same kind of problem. And the chief of police came out and flat out said there's nothing going on. When all the researchers, there's other researchers, you can see it in my book, are like, there's been 20 or 30 deaths ending up in water of college age people. And this guy's saying it's not a problem, but they're almost like, literally one of the guys was found with like a cinder block and chains to his legs. Like he either killed himself or somebody did that to him, and they didn't expect him to be found at the bottom.
And these are all, is there a common age for these guys? Like, I
would say there's a mean age of college age. So that's why the college age is in the title. Like
and is it always leaving like a bar? Like, is it always kind of post?
Almost always. There's always something at dark. There's actually in Boston, there were like 3 cases leaving the TD Garden. So there's a lot of venues, like late night venues or bars or
Basically,
closing.
someone's been partying, essentially doing something. Because what I was referencing, what we were talking about earlier, is I've been many times to this place called the Brooklyn Mirage, which is in Brooklyn. It's like this outdoor music venue thing. It's really cool. But there was I thought it was two, but you said there were three people who disappeared and their bodies were found, and they were found in water, and they just one guy like worked for Goldman Sachs or something.
Right.
And they're
There were
like young guys, and they just disappeared and found dead.
right. There were two who were found dead. One was abducted, so my mistake.
Oh, okay.
It
One
wasn't
was
three
abducted.
dead. One was definitely abducted, and his story is told. I tell it in my book. But there were three. June 11th, 2023, Carl Clementi, Filipino American, and then the guy you're talking about was John Castic, Castic.
Yeah.
So that was July 29th. So these are literally like a month and a half apart, like literally found
From the same place, from the Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can tell you, having been there, like it's this, you're in like a industrial area. Like it's not, there's nothing really around there. So when it closes, and it closes late, like sometimes it closes at legitimately like 8 a.m. Like it's one of those places. Yeah. Like it closes really late, but you can kind of like, you can walk to get to places, in Williamsburg in, I don't know, 20 minutes. It's not that crazy, but it's and there's not really water around there either. Like there must be some little
canals. I think they're
like canals,
kind of a canal or something.
Yeah, like a canal or something. So that is pretty strange. So obviously this stuff is happening. And do you and the people who investigate this, do you contact, like, every time one of these happens? Do you contact? Because I imagine there must be some authorities when it happens in their town. Maybe they don't know that this is happening everywhere else.
I called the police and I gave up because it's literally like talking to a brick wall. Like they don't respond. They don't give out information. What does happen is there's kind of a network of researchers, and there has been really since I started researching this back in 2016. So it's been 8 years off and on, but they share information and we talk about it because the police aren't doing anything. And they've just recently, it's kind of morphed into the public consciousness. There's more kind of traditional and alternate media looking into this. They're really good documentaries came out from a guy, I can't remember his name. He usually does paranormal shows, but he had a documentary with 500,000 views. And then there was a YouTube influencer, Pereira, I think it's like a Spanish last name, actually went to Austin and talked to the family members. And the family members, when you talk to the family members, that's kind of the giveaway, because they all say, this is way out of character. My brother is like athletic and super like bright and acting out of character. And the other giveaway too is these guys are found in canals that they could just stand up in, or like,
right. It's like shallow, you basically have to be passing out face down in water, which is a weird thing for you, because to go find, leaving something like the Brooklyn Mirage, to go find water, it's not like, I'm trying to think, having left there ever, I'm like, there's no water I can think of really around there. Like, you'd have to know specifically where it is, some kind of small canal or something to wind up, and it's like, it only takes minutes before it kind of gets into some kind of residential area. So it doesn't. And are they all ruled as suicides?
Accidental drownings.
They're all just
not all. There's been a few that actually, because of investigations, they've been changed from accidental drownings to homicide. Like there was one in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Chris Jenkins, and he was out on Halloween. Nobody saw him go into the water, and he was found. And then the parents looked at his autopsy reports or pictures years later, and he had a clump of hair in his hand, like he was grasping a clump of hair. So how does somebody drown with a clump of hair in their hand? And he was found like 3 months later too.
Right.
And then the new chief of police, actually, to his credit, changed the determination from like accidental drowning to misadventure or something like that. So
misadventure?
I don't think they'll ever find. Yeah, I don't think they'll ever find his killers. But
do they have a case open looking for? Like,
I think it's now an open case. But it was very suspicious. He was at classic stuff, Halloween, at a bar, acting strange, supposedly kicked out by the bouncers, not let back in, wandered off by himself. These are all the same kind of parameters, like men walking away by themselves, usually walking outside of CCTV range. So it shows like a premeditation or somebody's thinking like, I don't want to be caught on video.
Yeah, I remember with the Mirage one that there was, I think it was just a rumor that maybe it was, there were people in fake Ubers basically, like kind of offering like, hey, I'll give you a ride. And then that's the kind of pretext that they kind of snatch them up.
Yeah, that's true. And that there was the same allegation on the more recent Chicago cases. I called it the Chicago Rampage because
how many were in
I
Chicago?
think it was 12 total. I mean, I think that my list
over what time period?
Year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot, like just happening over and over and over again.
And so you think there's potentially some kind of, cult / like what's your best kind of explanation for this? Assuming, and obviously you're not buying that there's just this random thing that keeps happening.
I think that something very strange is happening, and that it might be, I don't have like the full motive, but I do think that there's a sexual component, but also a desire to kill. Like you could drug somebody and use them for lascivious purposes and let them live. So something else is going on. And I've looked into, like, my book before this one was called Global Death Cult. And it's literally like this satanic group called the Order of Nine Angles with its many offshoots. But the core principle is to literally stalk somebody and kill them and get away with it. So it might even be that dark. And,
just for the thrill of it, essentially.
Yeah, just a true thrill kill.
And go ahead.
This year, that's one of the reasons why I wrote this book. I actually just updated it and added another 50 pages because incredible things happened. As somebody who's been researching this and done 2 documentaries and this book, this year there was a conviction in Oxford, UK, of a man who was a transgender, man to woman, transgender, so had breasts like a woman, but still his male genitalia, and they never really determined. I couldn't find his real birth name, but they addressed him in court, which is incredible, by his transgender name, Scarlett Blake. And he was convicted of a crime they thought was an accident. In 2021, as the COVID restrictions were easing, there was a man, 30 years old, Jorge Carreño. He was from Spain. He was in the UK working for BMW. He went out with his buddies to pubs in downtown Oxford, right, the university. And then they just split up, and he was drunk and he was out late at 4. And some random guy came up to him, and they could see this on CCTV. So they were together, they were chatting. They could see the CCTV of these 2 people moving away and into kind of a wooded area. And Jorge Carreño was found face down in literally a pond, like you could stand up, 2 or 3 feet of water. And this is 2021. So they ascertained, they had a determination that the police determined that this was an accidental drowning. They didn't have a lot of information, but they also had an APB out for who this mysterious man in all black was. But 2 years pass, and some other part of the transgender network, Ashland Gear or something like that, from either Austin or Colorado, contacted police in Oxford and said, look, I've been talking to Scarlett Blake, and he has admitted to me that he killed Jorge Carreño and drowned him in that water. And it was a random attack. He literally went out to stalk some random person and commit that crime. And it fits all of the elements of the smiley face killers phenomenon, of this killing of young men in the middle of the night and drowning them. Now, I don't know what Scarlett Blake was doing online, but he said he had multiple different names. He was affiliated. He actually got his kind of transgender drugs from the Tavistock Hospital, which has now been shut down for all.
That's in Canada,
abuse.
Right?
They might have an adjunct in Canada, but the original
because there was because there was a Tavistock. I believe it was in Toronto, and the guy who ran it. That's where I'm originally from. And I believe the guy who ran it, he started speaking out against some of the stuff, and then they basically just like destroyed him. And he was like, I'm the original guy. He was like the original guy doing all these things. And then he just kind of started to have some second thoughts about certain elements of it. And
this guy was, I think, at the original Tavistock. I think it was in London. So maybe throughout the Commonwealth,
maybe there's a different one.
ones.
Yeah, possibly.
But It's an incredible case because they thought it was an accidental drowning, much like all these types of SFK deaths. And then somebody actually told the police and came forward. This guy, Scarlett Blake, had killed a cat and cut it up on video. So they had evidence of that. And there was all kinds of weird occult stuff. And this guy, Ashland Gier, was wearing this kind of aesthetic of the O9A, where you go out in the woods and wear all black with leather and guns and downward facing kind of like goat symbolism, goat pentagram symbolism, like the occult.
Sure.
So really strange, really intense, and incredible case. I have a full chapter on that in my book.
Yeah.
It's like a SFK killer caught in Oxford. Yeah.
So what's the O9A? This is from your book, The Global Death Cult.
Yeah. I think it kind of overlaps on what's going in. And I think there's been a lot of recent deaths associated with them too, which is why I wrote that book. I published it in 2021. But the O9A is kind of a modern satanic group, like an offshoot, not an offshoot, but an independent one that's a little different from other things. So you research Crowley, Aleister Crowley.
Sure.
I've done some research into LaVey, Aquino, and they all had their kind of own kind of satanic cult, right? Church of Set, Church of Satan, the Ordo Templi Orientis. This guy, David Myatt, is from the UK. It's a weird hybrid of far-right Nazi, believe it, get this, far-right Nazi politics and the occult, which is kind of similar to Nazism, which that's a whole nother show. But he tried to fuse this whole kind of cult thing into something. They tried to make the kind of far-right more popular in the UK, and they couldn't really reach public, the kind of tipping point of public popularity. They maybe got 10% of the vote maximum. So this guy's kind of thing was, let's start a small kind of, he was actually part of a Gladio group, a stay behind group, which is what kind of an anti-communist group that Western governments supported, but it was called Combat 18. But he decides to write his own kind of satanic group, and a very angry, and there's actually really interesting conversations between him and members of the Temple of Set, Aquino's group. And Myatt's like, you guys are all posers. Basically, the gist of it is, you guys are all posers. We're the real Satanists because we kill people. Like, our things is to go out at night and kill people. And that's part of their septenary system. So they kind of rejected kind of Jewish occultism and the Kabbalah. And he kind of had this whole kind of old English type of thing, the tree of words. So he set up a 7-level system. And on the 4th level, to get to the 4th level, you have to literally select a sacrifice. They call it a German word and offer. They have tons of documents. Like, it's all over. And they have cells.
Like, can you join it? Like, if you were,
you can, if you want. I wouldn't. But
no, I don't want. I'm not asking if I can.
I don't think you're like the optimal thing. They would call you a Nazarene. So they kind of lump together Christians and Jews as people who are like of the Old Testament. So
Sure.
They're definitely like Nazi sympathizers. They actually set their time based on, not like the advent of Christ or something, but the year of Fayen of Hitler's birth in 1889. So it is a very weird, very violent, but it had real world. It wasn't just some kind of like LARPers,
Yeah.
They've expanded. I did a show for a Russian YouTube channel talking about the global death cult, and this was in the last month. I was on this channel.
Do they call themselves the Global Death Cult, or is that
I call them the Global Death Cult?
You call them
because the Order of 9 Angles is kind of based upon death, like they really do. And the reason is that there's been a lot of deaths and a lot of really strange, like, their ideology isn't kind of rigid, so people can just kind of learn what they're up to and put it into use. But there's been deaths. There was a young man, a lot of like people on the spectrum who spend too much time online are attracted to him. So there was a guy named Daniel Hussein in London who made a pact with the devil, and he was going to go kill 2 women and get away with it. So they called this guy the lottery killer because he was going to sacrifice 2 women to win the lottery. That's what he thought. And I don't even think they convicted him and put him in jail because they thought he was crazy, which is probably close to the truth. But he went out in northwest London and killed 2 women, stabbed them to death. There was a case here in California, in Orange County. And there was actually, apparently it was just on TV yesterday. Somebody sent me something. But it was a guy by the name of Woodard who was affiliated with Atomwaffen, which is kind of the Nazi version, far right here in the U.S., which adopted a lot of the ideas of the ONA. kind of syncretized them or kind of melded them together with the occult. But he went out and killed a guy by the name of Blaze Bernstein and buried him in a shallow grave in Orange County. And there was another guy who killed his girlfriend's parents. I mean, just horrible stuff that all this, and it gets even worse. It gets even darker. There's been offshoots, but Russia. So because of the internet, this O9A, it's kind of a new kind of phenomenon, much like the Smiley Face Killers, where because of travel and the dispersion of information has really spread around. And the O9A has this thing called Nexians. So they're almost like in the mind, I think if you're a real ideologue of the O9A, they're like cells, like you have a terror cell or a communist cell, and you're trying to work together like, I don't know, Baader Meinhof. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. But I think the ONA structured it like that. And they even go into Russia. There's been arrests, Bulgaria, Serbia, Netherlands.
And do you think these smiley face type deaths are potentially like are you trying to, because I mean I imagine you're trying to
it's hard to
piece some
it's
things
hard
together
when
here.
you don't have the evidence. I can only state evidence, but I think the ideology, if you read my book Global Death Cult, you'll read their kind of doctrines. And they're all public. You can read their I just collated them and made it readable. So in Global Death Cult, it's easier than just going through 10,000 documents. But if you read it, it reads like somebody what they're doing in the Smiley Face Killers. Go out, select somebody who's not appropriate, like if they're a drunk or they're weak or you don't think they have honor or something like that. And then that's your selection. And then do it and not get caught.
Right.
And so I think that I don't know, like the police are not in the mindset of like, I'm going to look into this like it's a cult or an occult crime. I'm just looking at it as a crime. So I don't think they're really looking for that evidence. They might have come across people. There was one, you're from Toronto. Look up Willem von Nudegem. He actually this was a recent death. He literally I might have killed, I know he got convicted of killing one person, but he might have stabbed another. He literally walked up to some mosque in the middle of the night, all in black, and stabbed some random guy. And he had an order of 9 angle altar that he was doing these O9A chants. You cannot trip and do this. You have to be affiliated or know something with the O9A symbol. And you can see the O9A symbol on the cover of my book, Global Death Cult, if you can find that.
Huh. That's
so yeah, it gets really dark.
That's pretty strange. Yeah. That's so I want to talk about the Bush death cult because I know that you've referenced that.
The George Bush one?
Yeah.
That's a whole. I mean, yeah. Well, my first,
and we're going to open the phone lines in a few minutes too. So, but just
you mentioned I wrote 5 books. My first one was Prophet of Evil. Then I wrote one about a satanic crime called Abomination, the West Memphis 3. Then Children of the Beast, which is about Crowley's influence on the 20th century. Then Global Death Cult, and then my most recent one is the Smiley Face Killers. It's 450 pages, tons of information. My first one was really, I didn't put George Bush Sr. in the title because I think it would have been off-putting, but it's really about George Bush Sr. And the title of it is Aleister Crowley, 9/11 and the New World Order. And it traces kind of the ideology of Aleister Crowley, this kind of guy who thought of himself as a black magician, and his ideas and how they kind of permeated all the way up, I think, into kind of our present culture and politics. Believe it or not, I think that he influenced politics and that people don't acknowledge that. So, yeah, it gets pretty dark. So with Kabbalah, right? So I mentioned earlier, this guy Myatt kind of denied the Kabbalah, but within the Jewish Kabbalah, there is kind of a subset called gematria, where you take standard words.
Yeah. We have a guy, Chris, who calls in all the time, who's a big fan of gematria. And
it's supposed, and you have to see it within the larger context of literal magical thinking, not like lunacy thinking. It could be, but if you're a magician, you're thinking of like correspondences to get everything in line to make whatever act the most powerful, right? Moon, sun, planets, seasons, dates, numerology, all that stuff. So these numbers are kind of important to them. But in the kind of Crowley system, 11 was his most important number, really. It was the number of magic. It's the number of the New World Order. It's the coming together of the hexagram and the pentagram, the 5 and the 6, right? Much like, so Harry Potter's wand obviously is how many inches? 11 inches long, right? So they integrated a lot of
Interesting.
Crowley's.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it overlaps. But anyway, so 11 was important to Crowley and Crowley's gematria. 93 was 2 numbers that he had in Greek that influenced his thinking, which was Thelema, which is what he called his religion, the religion of Thelema or will, and agape, which is the Greek word for love, both equal 93, right? And then 77 is the 77. I mean, you can read it in my book, 77 names of Satan. It's also the half of the beast in Babylon coming together. So the sigil of Babylon has a 77 on it. And then 175 is his kind of ritual of the god you adore. So you pick a god and you kind of have this ritual of adoration. And so you see all those numerology within the events of 9/11, right? So it happened on September 11th, 2001. Actually, George Bush Sr.'s most famous, or one of his most famous, certainly his most famous speech in the alternate media is the New World Order speech that took place on September 11th, 1990, right? 11
Really?
years to, 11
Wow.
years to the date of 9/11, right? 2001.
Wow.
Right. So what's the number of the first plane that, I don't know, were you in New York at that time? I don't know.
I was not in New York, but we had a guest
well,
on.
you're
I think it
part
was 2 weeks ago about 9/11.
What's the first plane that hit the Twin Towers?
I don't remember.
But Flight 11, right?
Flight 11.
And
Okay.
and so like the Twin Towers are 110 stories tall, right? So this even the kind of the creation of the Twin Towers, the reference is David and Nelson Rockefeller. They were heavily behind the creation of the World Trade Center. I mean, they were really titans in a lot of ways. But those are like, I mean, it's an ideogram. So to Crowley, the number 11 was an ideogram. And it all traces back up to Poppy Bush and his associates, Brotherhood of Death. And like he wears hats with 77s on them. His like aircraft carrier 77. Like, so he's telling everybody what his real religion is. If you're in the know, if you're initiated. And it's beyond Masonry. Like people say, oh, this is a Masonic event. It's like, the OTO is post-Masonic, so you have to go through the Masonic orders and then graduate to some of these other very esoteric, exclusive groups like the Golden Dawn or the OTO. And so a lot of that information that Crowley had kind of integrated. And there's a pretty decent argument that the Bush mother, Barbara, is Crowley's offspring. She looks just like him. It's like a whole long story. Pauline Pierce was her mother's name, and she was kind of a high liver, person who lived high and traveled a lot. And back in that day, Paris wasn't the crap hole that it is today. It actually used to be like the city of light, where of culture and everybody around the world wanted to be there. And so she was part of that, as well as Crowley, who never had to work a day in his life. Actually, he was a true rich boy, spoiled, arrogant.
Enjoyed his magic. Phone lines are open, everybody. 1-888-949-2969. Can you hold on 1 second? I got to plug my computer in. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. For whatever reason, I forgot to plug my computer in. It was about to die. And that would have been the end of the show. All right, we're back. Phone lines are open, everybody. 1-888-949-2969. I know that's low value. Everybody's going to rag on me for it, but it happens. So, and the smiley face killer, actually, I still have some questions about this. When was the last time the actual smiley face has been seen near one of these deaths?
There was one, I think it was in 2023. His name was Seamus Gray, and he was in a city right on the border between Illinois and Wisconsin, so in between Milwaukee and Chicago. I forget the name of the city offhand, but he disappeared. I mean, it's a classic kind of smiley face killers thing. And then he was found in a previously searched area, which often happens. And then somebody put a smiley face on the pier. So whether, you don't know whether it's a copycat or somebody's goofing around.
Sure. Plus, there could
But
be
there's-
one, right? And you don't, if it's far enough away, they're like, unless they're on the lookout for these smiley faces, like something like, near Brooklyn Mirage, like there's graffiti everywhere. There could be one. If you don't know to think about it, then you might never even just think about it.
Good point. And there's been other graffiti too. So there's a Tommy Booth case that's out of Philadelphia where there was a smiley face with all this other stuff. And some people I don't know what it means, but like graffiti people, they know their signs and symbols. Like if you're in a Latin Kings or something like that.
Sure.
So.
And how many other people, including yourself, are looking into the smiley case, smiley?
A lot. I mean, one of my chief researchers who I kind of synced up with back in 2016 was Jim Smith. He's been in the same thing. Like I talk to him all the time. You can hear it on my podcast, but he's been researching these cases for like 8 or 9 or 10 years. So I think his list is even longer than mine.
And does anybody, does he ever try and get, like, if, one of these mysterious deaths comes up, does anybody ever try and go to the actual crime scene to maybe find one of these?
It's a great question. People have started now. Like there's like a cruise. So people in Austin will go to the river and look around. And there was one death by the side of the river where they found some weird spray paint. But it's hard to like ascertain whether that's directly associated with these deaths. But yeah, there's more and more public interest as there's more and more deaths.
Sure. And what about the original 2 detectives? This was in the 90s.
They're still at it. So I think that Gilbertson kind of moved on. But they did a 6-part series that was financed by kind of pretty reputable production house, Blumhouse Productions.
Yeah.
But they only covered 6 cases. So, but that went on Oxygen, so you can watch that. And they got a little bit of press. They went on Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil. And I included kind of some of that information in my book as well. But so they're still in it. They run something called like Missing Persons. So they kind of help out the families. They have a lot of information, but they're not as public maybe as some of the other researchers. But yeah, they're still around.
And they still believe that this is ongoing, I guess.
100%.
My question.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And they're in 2 different cities.
Are they in the same? I think Gannon's still in New York City, and Gilbertson is in LaSalle, Wisconsin. Is that right? Somewhere. Okay. He was I think he's an emeritus criminal procedure, criminal law professor, or something like that.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's think. Oh, go ahead.
They have an important book if people want to research it. I think it only has 14 cases, but they go into it in detail. Like they had one case of a guy who was clearly frozen and thawed out, almost like the Iceman killer. I don't know if you remember him, but he was from New York. But their book is called Case Studies in Drowning Forensics.
So, sorry, say that again. He was thawed, frozen.
Yeah, I think his name was Kapfer. And when they found his body, it was clear that he had been frozen stiff and then chucked in the water. And if you remember the Iceman, I can't remember, he had a Polish name.
I think I saw an interview with
Kuklinski.
Yeah, like big like fat guy.
Yeah, massive dude.
Massive guy, right? Yeah, I think I've seen an interview.
And that was his trick. He got the kind of name the Iceman because that's what he would do to throw off the cops, is he would freeze the bodies, and so that they wouldn't know the time of death.
Huh.
He was a real monster. I think there's a movie called The Iceman. It's actually pretty good.
Okay. All right, let's take a call. Phone lines are open, 1-888-949-2969. First call we got, I don't know who this is, but we will get to them. Make sure to hit the unmute button when requested. Hello. Hey, what's up? You're on Low Value Mail. Who are we speaking with? Hey, what's up, Patrick?
What's up?
How's it going?
Okay, I have a few questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, were any of the smiley face victims raped?
It's a great question, and a lot of that information isn't known. They don't look for it. Like the medical examiners kind of almost are like employees of McDonald's. They just like process stuff and go on. And a lot of that information doesn't make it out to the public. So a lot of these cases have been looked over in a second opinion by a very famous forensic examiner by the name of Cyril Wecht, who's found a lot of injuries to these bodies. But whether that's happened or not is an open question. And then I think it goes back to what I said earlier. If these are determined or thought to be an accident, they're not going to look for drugs or harm to the body as much or things like that. So,
Do the families ever try and get like a second opinion?
all the time. Yeah, they've got one in the Riley Strain case, this most recent one.
And are those second opinions coming back confirming the initial cause of death?
There's different opinions. So there was one kind of famous case 5 years ago. Cyril Wecht has passed away, unfortunately. I did interview him for my show. He's a great person. Know a lot about JFK. But one example is this guy whose name is Dakota James, which they said was drowning. They found his body. He's supposedly missing 40 days. He looked like he had been in the water 2 days. And it was never recorded to the public that what Cyril Wecht found was that the guy had literal rope burns around his neck that I could tell. Like, I'm not a medical examiner. I could say somebody had a rope around this dude's neck. So I think that he was abused, and they might have found more abuse on that guy if they looked. I'm not sure. The original case of Patrick McNeil that I told you about, his family just accepted what the police told them, that it was an accidental drowning. Then they got the autopsy. They had Cyril Wecht looked at it, and Cyril Wecht is like, this guy's been held in a chair and blowtorched, and somebody hit him in the head with a pickaxe. Like, this guy's endured like the worst stuff imaginable. The police didn't even tell that to him. And that's in the Gannon Gilbertson book, those facts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's super crazy. And it just goes on and on. The Chris Jenkins that I mentioned earlier with the hair in his hand. So we don't know how many of these other ones the police have bungled or not looked into. I mean, it's incredible, like how many cases that there could be abuse. There was another one, I think I mentioned, the Tommy Booth. He was found, he had like, they call it an S-scarf. Somebody takes a cigarette and puts it out in your hand. And he had those scars on him. Like, what's going on? Like, okay, I'm going to go drown in like 6 inches of water and put a cigarette out on the back of my hand and in a place that was previously found. The Tommy Booth case is really one of the more important cases because he was found in such an obvious place that the police or anybody could never miss it. He just magically reappeared 8 days later.
And they still
2 inches of water.
An accidental drowning?
Yeah, I think they just called it an accidental drowning and just moved on.
Huh.
Yeah, that's outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Manny Yunk, I think it's called or something.
Oh, okay. You have any other questions, caller?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
What got you down this rabbit hole, like before the smiley face killers, all the whole shebang?
It's a good question. I kind of, like, my books kind of followed a strange pattern. Like, I was into Crowley, then the West Memphis 3 was Crowley story, then Children of the Beast. It was I was reading Children of the Beast or researching it. I kept seeing the smiley face in the common culture. So like Watchmen, Fight Club, in fashion and things like that. And I'm like, well, I remember listening to Coast to Coast. Danny mentioned that, like Coast to Coast. But there was a Coast to Coast with a guest who talked about the smiley face. So in my mind, I made this connection between the symbol that I saw all over the place and these killings. And I thought the smiley face killings was a myth. I thought it was like an urban myth. And then I was on Facebook at the time, which I'm no longer on. And there was groups on there. So I started kind of looking into those groups just out of curiosity. And then I followed one case in 2016 of a young man by the name of Joey LaBute in Columbus, Ohio. And I said, if this guy, he disappeared out of a bar, like classic stuff, walked to his car. And I said, if he's found dead in water, I'm going to freak out. This is going to be incredible. And 19 days later, he was found in the Scioto River in a previously searched area. And that kind of clicked it for me. So then I just started watching. I started following other researchers and really started reading the books and just kind of communicating and just kind of like on online research communities. And that was it. And then my first documentary was 2017. Second one came out during COVID called The Global Slaughter Continues. And then I always had it in my mind to put a book together so people could not only see my research, but other people's research, because I was researching other researchers. And my book is really almost, and I say this in the first sentence, it's a history of the investigation into the smiley face killers. So it's really almost like watching to understand the FBI saying nothing's going on, Gilbertson and Gannon's research, Nicole Weisensee Egan, Jim Smith, Igor Sarsky, There's a like Green Beret guy who said these guys are really tight. They're doing smart things. So that was really where it started. I mean, to go back, it really kind of just, these were just like rolling things and things that I didn't believe. Like, I won't believe this is happening. Then I watch it and I go, this is obviously a real phenomenon. Somebody's carrying it out, either for cult reasons or just to like communicate and do horrible things. So yeah, basically it.
Gotcha.
You got anything else?
If you can,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, if you can briefly share, how did Aleister Crowley influence modern politics? Mention that.
Well, that's a good question. I think he was involved in a lot of more politics than anything. I think he was really he was a spy. He worked as an asset of the British intelligence, so they called it the Special Intelligence Service. And I think that he was a cultural figure. So those, they say culture precedes politics. So I think in a certain way, he overlapped he was a part of a German secret society. And there was a lot of OTO members in the Nazi party. And so I think that he influenced some of those people in the German culture. I think Hitler was aware of Crowley, who was there during the Weimar Republic before Hitler came into power. And so then I think one of his followers, believe it or not, would be he was the head of the Labour Party in the UK. That was his heir, actually. And he would basically be the head of like the Democratic Party in the UK. So I think Crowley had a lot more influence. And one of his other friends was like JFC Fuller, who was one of two Britishmen invited to Hitler's 50th birthday party in the 37. So there's a strange overlap. Crowley was involved in getting the U.S. on the side of the U.K. in World War I. So those are kind of the early influences, I think, upon politics. But then his followers kind of morphed and came up. And then I just mentioned earlier, like George Bush is clearly familiar with the kind of ceremonial magic and occultism of Crowley. There's no question about it. Who's like all over the place. I mean, Bush is the head of the CIA. He's got all kinds. His son becomes the president. His 10th cousin is Obama, right? So,
who's 10th? Obama's related to Bush?
Yeah, Bush. Yeah, 10th cousin.
What's 10th cousin? Like just by marriage?
I don't know. It's some just by marriage. It's his dad. His dad is a cousin of somebody in the Bush family.
Huh.
So it's his father, not his mother. It's through his mother. So his mother's dad is a cousin.
Oh, I never heard that.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Cool. All right, caller. Anything else there?
One last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
For you, Danny.
Yes.
ASMR.
What about it?
Does it do anything for you?
No. I don't. It doesn't do anything.
All right.
It seems like it's more of a girl thing.
It. Okay.
Are you a big ASMR guy?
Fair enough. Huh?
Oh, you said, are you a big ASMR guy?
I'm not a big ASMR guy, but
you like it?
Yeah,
kind of actually bothers me sometimes. To be honest,
Okay.
actually, whenever I listen and people are just like scraping a microphone, I go, like they're rubbing their nails over a microphone. It kind of pisses me off for some reason.
No.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, let's take another call here. Phone lines are open, everybody. If you want to call in, if you have any questions, anything to add. Hello.
Hi, this is Jeff. Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking my call. I just have two questions, if that's cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first question was about the Crowley 9/11 numerology. I just wondered if there's significance to, like, the month September. Then it's the 9th month, but like the name implies it's the 7th month, which would be like a 7-11 layer, all that. But anyway, my other question was about the smiley face killers, which was, I was thinking that I heard you say something about there's some timing with the solar phenomenon maybe, and then I started thinking the smiley face might just be like the sun, the way it appears on Post Raisin Bran box, the way sort of like, and like it happens at night in water that's kind of out of view of the sun. Maybe like solar deities are male, the victims are male, the water's feminine, anyway, that's not really a question there, just kind of a general scatterbrain thought.
Have there been any women found in puddles? Because I imagine if that happens, then they do investigate it. Like they probably are like, that's not a mysterious death. Just
There's been a
automatically almost.
few. There's been a few. There was kind of a famous case in whose name I can't remember right now, but in the UK in the last couple of years of a woman who went out for a walk and all the same MO, disappeared. She was by a river. They checked the whole river like 6 times, and then she magically reappeared, in that river like a week or two later. So it looked like somebody waited to dump her. Browder or something like that. Michaela Browder. I can't remember her name. So yes, there have been women, and people have tried to time these cases to lunar cycles, months. They definitely happen more in the kind of colder months for some reason. And I think it's just because there's more college people. They're all home for the summer. So I think it's really just correlates to the kind of college times. But I do have a chapter in my book called The Brutal Lunar Kill Cycle of 2024, because there was like 30 cases all coinciding strangely around the eclipse. So you had like cases that almost followed the eclipse: Texas, Nashville, Ohio, Boston, New York. Really wild stuff.
Like followed like the actual path of the eclipse?
The time too, but just the March. I think it was in March that the eclipse took place. So a lot of people disappeared, including this guy, Riley Strain, right around that eclipse time. So something, it's like a blip, like it went and like went back down again. So I don't know how to explain it.
Huh.
But a lot of Halloween, a lot of New Year's Eve, a lot of bodies found on Christmas too, which is strange. So like, there's another like line of inquiry.
I mean, the Christmas thing almost can be. I mean, I imagine like suicides would be increased around Christmas if I had to guess.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think that there's some of these guys. Like I've studied this other guy, Latunsky, who abducted somebody and put him in a dungeon, and there was a very strong element of occultism. This kind of online nighttime wolf, kind of like almost like a furry, where they identified as wolves and anti-Christian animus. So
yeah,
I think.
And is there like the origin of the smiley face symbol? Like, is there anything behind that?
It's a really good question. I think that it traces back to like the acid house in the UK, and even before that, there might be some attachment to Burroughs, which is probably where Kurt Cobain got the use, like that modified smiley face for Nirvana, right? So I think it goes back to kind of the transgressive literature, and which is why it's in Fight Club. If you read Fight Club by Palahniuk, it's there.
Yeah,
which is why it's in the movie. So
it's from the Smiley Face Killers, or from.
I think Palahniuk is part of transgressive literature, so I think it goes through Burroughs to Palahniuk.
And it's also in the Watchmen, right?
Correct. Alan Moore, who's a known magician, like he says, he spends half of his time writing comics and the other half doing magic. So it makes sense that they're using this kind of occulted thing. And one of the more scary, like something you can watch if you want to talk about like a passive initiation into the darkest of the occult that sounds like pop, go listen to Ed Sheeran's video called Bad Habits. And it's literally a symbolic walkthrough of 09A ideology. It's incredible. Sun starts off with the sun going down. He turns into a vampire. He's drinking symbolic blood. He's with his own crew of vampires. There's a smiley face on the girl vampire. They're amongst the mundanes, right? They have total contempt for humanity. So the people who aren't of them are just like almost robotized. They're mundanes. They're feasting on the mundanes. Ed Sheeran's upside down like a bat, like he's representing this kind of noctulian thing where they go out at night. And he's presencing stuff. He's initiating people. He gives the kid the smiley face balloon. Then he flies through the balloons, almost like those are his victims flying off into space. Then the sun comes back out and he comes back to normal, back to Ed Sheeran. Watch it. And it's incredible. What's really incredible about it is that it's had 500 million views on YouTube when I last checked. It was the #1 song in the world, totally inspired by occult ideology. And Ed Sheeran has the yellow smiley face tattoo on his body for some reason. that I can't ascertain. So the correlations are really there in the common culture and the alternate culture, and then these kind of deaths.
Yeah, I wonder how like it gets to Ed Sheeran. I can't imagine he's. I mean, maybe he is into occult stuff, or if it's just. I've
done a show on him. He has some interesting friends. He's done collaborations with a band called Bring Me the Horizon, right? So in the kind of ONA kind of view, you're out all night until the sun comes up. One of the actual rituals is to go out at sundown and not move until sunup. So Bring Me the Horizon is like you've been out all night and then the sun comes up, right? The horizon comes at you. So they're very much into the night. And one of the interesting things is not only has Ed Sheeran kind of done collaborations with Bring Me the Horizon, but Grimes, Elon Musk's side piece, I don't know,
whatever,
girlfriend,
ex-wife.
mother, whatever, yeah, ex-wife,
Yeah.
Has worked with them too. So it's a small little world.
Yeah. Yeah. Music's a weird one because I feel like there's always some element where there's people want to be weird for the sake of it. I always
go listen to Bring Me the Horizon and watch the videos. They're pretty strange.
Yeah.
Drowned. Yeah. There's a lot of drowning themes.
All right. Let's take another call here. One moment, please. We got next here. I believe we have. Oh, here we go. Hello. You're on Low Valley Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Hello. My name is Julian.
Yeah, what's up, Julian?
How's it going? I'm really excited. I really like Boys Cast. Just FYI, it's awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right. So I have a question for the guest about does he think climate change is really the existential threat it is, or that it's just a game?
No, I mean, come on. I'm old enough to see them move the goalposts, you know. I'm 55. So I remember back in like turn of the century, Al Gore having a meltdown about climate change. It's a joke. It's a massive part of like the global mind control. And I feel sorry for the young kids who actually trust these kind of inbred elites like John Kerry and Gore. They're really depopulationalists and owe their whole lives to their parents and parents. They're literally like upper class twits of the year from like a Monty Python sketch, but they live in America. So don't believe anything they say. And I wouldn't worry about climate change at all. You can actually go do your own climate change test. Go get a picture of like a pier from 200 years ago.
I think there's that one photo where it's like,
go see how much the ocean has come up. One thing that gives it away is like Obama goes to Martha's Vineyard and goes and gets like a $15 million mansion, like 1 foot above the water level. Like these guys give themselves away. They hate your guts. That's what you can't. That's what the young people don't get, is that they are anti-human depopulationalists, and you're breathing their air, and they think they're better than you and more special than you, and that's the whole purpose of climate change. Climate change is a loaded term. It's a loaded term like conspiracy theory.
Well, they said it was global warming and it didn't get hot.
Go watch.
Well, they said it was global warming, and then they changed it to climate change.
Yeah,
originally it was global. Originally it was global warming, and then that wasn't happening. Yeah. So then they go climate change, which just means
it's a huge mind rape term. All you have to do is go watch an Inconvenient Truth, and that dates Gore. He's obviously lying, and he had this preposterous thing recently, like there's like 10 million Hiroshimas blowing up the ocean. And I'm like,
man, they're pig.
Looks fine to me. Like that. Those are the more thing you need to worry about more than climate change are the people promoting climate change.
Sure.
Yeah. They want us to eat bugs.
Yeah, and they don't ever propose anything that's detrimental to them in any way.
Right. The era of convenience is over, just like King Charles III said, just at the Great Reset. So,
how do we fight back? How do I?
Well, it's a great question. Cognitive liberty is the beginning. So realizing these people are full of baloney and that your corporate media is just a front for these kind of ideas is the first step in understanding. And then making decisions to get out and, get away from the big state as much as possible. Grow your own food, get a good job somewhere outside of like working for them. And
would you recommend someone start their own business?
Absolutely. absolutely,
Okay.
I would recommend that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like the system isn't for your benefit anymore. It's actually been weaponized against the people of the United States, if not the people of the world, really. So it's just like something that you're going to have to adapt to. And we're really in a kind of World War III situation, but it doesn't play out like World War II. Like you're now in World War III, fifth generation electronic warfare, where mind control. It's not an excuse that the picture that recently came out of King Charles III, he has a monarch butterfly on his shoulder, symbolizing kind of mind control, and he's carrying a sword. So I mean, those are the people. Like if you watch Eyes Wide Shut, like you couldn't even believe it. Like these are the type of people from Eyes Wide Shut who want to reshape the world in their image, and it's not a pretty world.
So all the Diddy stuff, is that like all pretty much just true? And
Absolutely,
there's not a lot of.
No, it's
Wow.
probably worse than you think.
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll see if he
Holy crap.
survives
What-
his trial.
He's gonna get that paper shirt treatment that they gave to Epstein. So
Yeah,
I think they're saying he's on suicide watch right now. I think I read that.
they're gonna kill him. He's gonna die.
Yeah,
But
I
can
mean,
have one more question. One more question.
Go ahead.
Obama, did they murder his chef? Because everyone I tell, they think I'm crazy.
That's a great question. The answer is read my book. It's chapter 27,
Okay.
titled "The Suspicious Water Death of Former President Obama's Personal Chef Tafari Campbell."
Right, because
And,
he died in the water.
Okay, I will do that.
No, it's
I
even
listen to your
better.
podcast all the time.
It's even better than that because he died on a Sunday night as the sun's going down on a paddleboard. Average height depth of the water is 4 feet in that pond. That's not part of the ocean. On a guy who could swim. And why isn't there an ankle bracelet the ankle chain or tie
Like
to the paddleboard, right? Because that's why you have it. So if you fall off, you pull the thing and you get back on. The whole story makes no sense. They didn't find his body until the next morning.
And he was naked. Is that something that I'm like? Is that
I don't
just lies
know.
or?
You can't really trust
Naked.
you can't trust the kind of police report. You can't trust the police reports on the corruption is off the charts.
Wow.
So you can't really trust the police reports anymore from the main kind of police things. But one of the things I would suggest to you is kind of look up, go online, or you can go to my Twitter feed and look up the bracelet that was exchanged between creepy Joe Biden and Obama.
Bracelet.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, symbolism is the real key to everything. Yeah. This stuff goes all the way to the top.
Wow.
All right.
Oh, well, I'm going to sleep great. Well, thank you. I listen to your podcast all the time, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
Really
appreciate
fortunate to get to talk to you. All right, guys. I'll let you get on with it. Thank you.
Take care. Later, man. All right. Yeah. That. So when did Obama give Biden the bracelet?
Well, let me see if I can find it. It's on there. It's on their like Instagram pages. You have to kind of scroll through.
Oh, okay. But he gave him a bracelet, and there's some symbolism.
I'd say it's all symbolic.
Or it's all symbolic.
Yeah. I mean, you can go look up the FBI's kind of symbolism for pedophilia. And,
Sure.
I mean, it's all
The
there.
squiggly, was it triangle thing or whatever?
It's like there's a flower within a flower.
Gotcha.
So like you do a flower and then a flower and over that. I don't know. I think I have it on my computer, but
sure. Okay. We're gonna take another call here.
There's a pizza symbol too.
Yeah. I mean, $65,000 for pizza seems like.
Was it hot dogs or something like that?
Hot dogs and pizza seems
that
like
that wasn't
normal budget for.
Right. That wasn't the Podesta emails. It was from the Series 7 emails. So it was within something separate. It got lumped into kind of Pizzagate, but it was a separate tranche from WikiLeaks. So it's not surprising they went after Assange with such fury,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it is crazy to the extent. I actually was seeing because they're Kim.com. Someone just posted it today, but he just like disappeared. He was like posting all day, every day on Twitter, and they're trying to extradite him, or I think they announced they are extraditing him to the United States.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's related to that, but he just like has gone dark, and he was like, I couldn't go a day without seeing tweets from him. And he was every day. Hello.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Hey,
what's
going on, fellas? Danny, William.
William, what's up? Oh no, you're not William. You're
Yep.
saying hi to William. Yeah. Okay. Hey, what's up?
Yes, I'm addressing you. What's going on, fellas? I don't know if I have much to add, but I'm actually from the Milwaukee, and I've heard about the Smiley killer my whole life. Like mostly, sometimes in Milwaukee, but mostly up in like the La Crosse area.
La Crosse.
Yeah. I don't know if you mentioned it. I'm sorry, I missed like the first 20 minutes of the show.
Well, I think I mentioned at the beginning, like that was kind of the hot spot. That was one of the original places, was kind of like that La Crosse area and New York City, but it's kind of branched out.
Yeah. Well, I feel like somewhere like, what's the population of La Crosse? I imagine it's not a huge place.
I think it's a college town. I think there is a college there, like
Yeah,
Cloud
there's-
State
It's
or
a
something.
college town.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't know
college.
off the top of my head. I probably should, but it's definitely.
Yeah, because somewhere like New
There's a lot
York,
of-
like it's a lot easier to get away with stuff here because there's just so much shit going on constantly. Like you couldn't even, convince or get any sort of word out. You go, hey, there's this pattern of murders happening. Like nobody would even pay attention to it here. Whereas, but
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing around my area. A lot of our cities are like built over rivers, so there's a lot of like underground culverts and like. Sometimes I like to do a little urban exploration and I kind of go in these like tunnels, and I haven't seen nothing weird. I mean, I've seen graffiti, I've seen smiley faces, of course. But that could be anyone, but they're definitely down there. But like,
and
these
have
things are
they
fast,
found
man.
like that of any have any bodies or people been found in those areas?
People definitely die in these underground rivers. It wasn't from a killing, but for example, just recently, like a bunch of kids fell into one of these during a major flood. So it's definitely a lot of things could happen down there.
Sure.
I'm just saying these tunnels are vast, and I mean they go. It's crazy how big they are and how long they go, and So I would imagine that would. I mean, if something were to happen, that would be like a perfect spot. You don't.
I mean,
know.
it seems like from what William's saying too, like this, if you're trying to get away with a murder, this seems to be the type of way where if you do, X, Y, and Z, police will just kind of mark it as a accidental drowning or whatever, accidental death. Like they must have a framework of what an accidental death is, and then if it's checks these boxes, they just go, yeah, it's an accidental death.
Danny, I don't know if you can see what. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please go on.
I was going to say, Danny, I'd sent to you a link.
Oh,
to the
here we
chat.
go.
I don't know if you can click that on or click that.
Yeah, let me see what happens. Yeah, I can click it. Oh, here we go. It says Joe Barack. It's like a friendship bracelet. There's looks to be either a slice of pizza,
There's a pizza, smiley face,
pie,
and that symbol,
something like that, and then there's a smiley face and a star and a flower, a little like, and it says Joe Barack. I mean, that's a weird thing for to give a 75-year-old man. I think usually, like, this is from 2019. Like, you would assume, when people are that powerful, you just give them a Rolex. Like, you have that much money, like, you go, here's a Rolex or something along those lines. This is kind of a bizarre thing. He gave it to him. Joe Biden tweeted this photo on June 8th, 2019, honoring Barack Obama on National Best Friends Day. Or Joe Biden gave this to Obama?
I think
Either
so.
way.
I think that's what-
Yeah. But Weird thing with all that Ukraine money, just not get him an actual gift. But I guess maybe he wants to be a man of the people, so he's like, I can't be. That's what the poors would give each other is a friendship bracelet. Probably he actually did give him a Rolex, but he's just like, I'm not going to take a photo of that.
Could I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. You were bringing up Crawley a lot, Aleister Crawley, and how he pops up into like modern day politics. Are you familiar with a guy named Alexander Dugin over in Russia?
Yes,
apparently he's a really big disciple of Crawley.
There are videos of him kind of reciting some of his poetry.
Yeah, right on YouTube, I believe.
Yeah, Dugin is he's like what? He's like Putin's like spiritual advisor.
He doesn't really have like an official position, I don't think, but
actually Andreas
Andreas
Exertus, who's been on this show, he's the Tartaria guy. He just sent me an interview he did with Dugin, like over Zoom.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
I don't know if I like that guy. Neo-Eurasianism. If anyone's curious about what he's into.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if it's really
he uses a bunch of like symbology on his books. But all right, fellas, I'll let somebody get in here.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Peace.
All right. Okay. Yeah, let's take another call here. Thanks again for coming on, William. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks.
Interesting discussion, for sure. Hello. You're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
This is Patrick again.
What's up, man?
What's up? Okay. I just wanted to call in again because what's with the Diddy situation? I mean, in terms of he's on suicide watch, and what does that have to do with? I mean, I forget if you, Danny, or
we referenced it briefly, but I mean, look, from what's coming out, Diddy was hanging out with the most powerful celebrities. I don't know if he was in the Epstein kind of level where it was these giant like politicians and stuff, but he has all these celebrities who, probably wield a similar amount of power and probably run in similar circles as a lot of like big politicians and stuff. And he had his house wired up. He had these just insane sex parties. I'm sure there was like famous people like to hang out with other famous people, regardless of if they're like in entertainment specifically. So, there's a good chance that there's a lot of bad shit that's going to be coming out about a lot of people, I would think.
It seems like people are getting fired or leaving jobs early. Or
I saw someone post like all the day after Diddy got arrested, like the amount of people who stepped down from their jobs was crazy. And then Usher today came out and he goes, because everybody's like, Usher deleted all his tweets, like every single tweet. And then
Pink
Usher
did that too.
Apparently Pink's was months ago, but Usher actually did delete his tweets, I think yesterday. And then he came out today. He goes, I was hacked. I'll see you at the show tonight or something.
That's a good one.
But Usher was famously, I believe, was like not raised by Diddy, but was basically like Diddy was like his parental custodian when he was like 15 and he like went and lived with him. So, he probably saw some wild shit, I would imagine.
Yeah, that one case was really incredible. All that stuff that was revealed by that former employee or whatever.
Yeah.
Off the charts, the pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, just listening to the press conference with the whatever district attorney in New York, like they must have a lot of shit on him, and I'm sure more will come out. So I don't know. I mean, I guess if they're not against like just having someone die in custody, like in front of everybody, because here's the thing, even if he kills himself and then a lot of people will be like, oh, wow, what a surprise. But really, what are you going to do about it?
I heard a rumor here in LA that there were parties in the Hollywood Hills because they knew that Epstein was going to be killed. I think it was on a Saturday night, right? Or a Sunday night. So I heard that people knew, like, hey, let's have some drinks. He's going to be gone.
Oh, like they were kind of early celebrations.
Yeah, like they
because
knew that
all our
was
problems are
are
potential
going to be
problems.
solved. Our careers will be saved once he's
Sure.
gone.
Yeah, there were so many CEOs of companies, like all these music labels and stuff, who were all kind of stepping down in the last week, basically.
Yeah, I think it's endemic. I think it's just part of that system, and it's always been part of Hollywood. Diddy lives on the same street as the Playboy mansion, which all that stuff was going on too. So
Yeah.
he's in the right locale. He was on the most exclusive part of Beverly Hills. I don't know if people know that.
No, I didn't. I mean, I would
Yeah.
I assume so. He had, I mean, there's been no shortage of rumors that he was the one who killed Biggie Smalls and Tupac, I think. I think they're saying forever that he was behind both of them. So, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, maybe he gets the R. Kelly treatment. Maybe he keeps his mouth shut. Who knows? Maybe he. Oh yeah, Mark in the chat says and 50 Cent getting shot. And 50 Cent's been saying for 10 years about all the crazy shit that he's been up to. He's been kind of going on about it. So, I guess we'll see. Anything else there, Patrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of a two-part question. So that bracelet, is there significance to the bracelet itself, like some sort of a cult or whatever?
No, it's like a
sort of
kid.
thing?
It's
And
like a
then
literal
also-
child's friendship bracelet.
Right.
Are
Yeah.
you able to share that screen?
Yeah,
Dan?
I can pull it up. Yeah, I'll put it on the screen. Give me 1 second here. I'll put it.
It's
on the
just
screen.
strange between like two of the most powerful people.
It is a
2019,
weird thing
yeah.
for sure. For like, for someone to give to
Adult men, yeah.
an adult,
And-
like a
and
50 or 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
75.
Beyond that, two things. Why would they post that? And then, what's the significance? I mean, I know Pizzagate, but like, and I don't know, maybe this is something I can just look up, but like pizza, like why was that why is that
Yeah, here it is on the
thing.
on the screen right now. You can see it in front of my face here. That's the friendship bracelet. It's a weird gift. We'll go with say that at the least, unless obviously they're going for photo ops and stuff, but it's odd. Yeah, it was just up on the screen there. Sorry, what was your question there? The Pizzagate stuff? I don't know. It's either a slice of pie or it's a slice of pizza. It looks like it could be a slice of pizza, and I mean,
it looked like pizza to me.
yeah, there is some element to me sometimes too, where I'm like, if some of these guys aren't involved in this stuff, and that's obviously a big if, but like if I was in their position and I kind of had a somewhat idea of what people were thinking, like the troll in me would be like, man, I'm gonna put people in a fucking frenzy. We're putting make sure to put a slice of pizza on this thing. But again, I don't know why they would care. Two of the most powerful people in the world would care about doing something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it does look like a slice of pizza. Anyways.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Whatever. Okay, let's take another call here. Excuse me.
Hello?
Someone says I should make some of those bracelets for merch. I don't know about that. Hello.
Why not?
Get found laying in a puddle is why. Hello.
Really?
Hey, what's up? Someone in the chat was asking about Isaac Cappy. I've heard the name before, but I can't remember why.
He's like that former
Yeah,
actor
is that-
guy, I think. Is that who it is? He's like on Twitter. I think that's who that is. Yeah, I've seen him. He looks he's like a weird.
He said a lot of stuff about Hollywood and then like passed away or
And he
fell off,
died,
like,
right?
Yeah, something like
Like
that.
he went on some crazy like this is all
Yeah.
these pedophiles and
Yeah.
everything and then
Yeah.
yeah.
I never got to the was able to really look into that in detail. He seemed a little like he was having a manic breakdown or something.
I mean, I could tell you as someone who's, quasi in the entertainment industry, the people in this industry are fucking nuts. Like, people are absolutely nuts. Mark says he was friends with Seth Green. He died in mysterious circumstances after being friends with Seth Green. He fell off a 6-foot-high bridge in the middle of a desert over a highway. Yeah, I mean, these are some of the most people in entertainment are some of the most mentally fragile people. Like, you're getting rejected so much, and there's such a disconnect with your value. Like, this guy probably is like, why aren't I starring in like Oscar nominated films? And you're like, dude, you're like one of, like, you live in LA, like, you're like, you go to a coffee shop, every single person from the employees to the people sitting there are all trying to be actors. Like, it is.
There are people who have gone on to other careers who still have this kind of like bug for the.
Oh, I mean, when I was
industry,
when I was doing like commercial acting and stuff when I lived in Canada still, like, I would go for auditions and there would be no shortage of like realtors and people who are like, I'm just like on my break. I just, I fit it into my work schedule and I just go do these auditions for a commercial that pays $3,000. And you're like, if you're lucky, you book 2 of them a year.
Right. No,
Yeah.
it's
There's a lot of delusion in entertainment. That's for sure. What's up, Slav?
Yeah, so one of my first questions was regarding what is it? So like people are like, saying MK Ultra, this and that, and do you think like would it be so like because obviously it's like people talk about police cover-ups, they're not forthcoming. Like is there an extent of has there been a single name of anyone that's coming out being like, oh, they got detained and then questioned and released over and over again?
Like a suspect, a prime suspect. I guess if you're saying it's like kind of a cult scenario, then you can
I mean, kind of specifically here because I live in Austin. I mean,
there's been
I'm
some.
not too particularly worried. So,
dude, why don't you go set up like a kind of like a bait situation where you try and get abducted.
Go out at 2:00 at night.
Yeah, go out at
2:00.
Buddies, pretend like you get a bouncer to kick you out of a bar for like just for your opinions, and then just pretend to be drunk and see if you can get kind of scooped up.
I don't have to pretend to be drunk. I'm perpetually doing that. But
okay, or then just be drunk, but not too drunk to not fight back. You know what I mean?
Wait, fight back? I'll just shoot. What are we talking about?
Oh, okay.
We're in Texas.
Yeah, that is a weird thing because, something like this happening in Austin a lot and, people, you never know who's armed there.
Yeah, no, it's odd. It is odd. And I think that it's somebody experienced is doing it, but some of the deaths are very strange. There was a guy by the name of Cunningham who worked for, I think it was, what is it? Like one of the big agencies, like the health FDA or something. He was a victim, like he disappeared. He was a big-time lawyer, a Harvard educated lawyer, disappeared for 60 days, found in a river. And then another one in Austin, he had strange family connections, like to the COVID situation. I think it was either Wellcome Trust or something like that. So, and there's weird, like if you watch like this Killers movie that's on Netflix, I forgot the actor's name, but it's like there's funny references all through the films. Like he says something in there. He mentions Crowley, which is really strange. So he says something like, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," and then he says, "I wish this was an easier case where I could just take somebody and dump them in a river," like something like that. Huh. So he clearly knows like this.
Yeah, a reference to it.
This is like an MO. Yeah.
That's just so bizarre that it's. Yeah, go ahead, Slav.
Yeah, I am still of like this belief, like. Not just here, the cases in Austin, but because I first found out about this whole Smiley face killer stuff from Tim Dillon, and but like everyone is, but my whole thing has always been like, these dudes definitely got roofied, and I've always just been on the thought of like, if the murder, the person committing the murder is probably a dude, but the person like beginning the whole. He has like a female accomplice.
Sure. But the thing
Dude,
is the only, like, that would make the most sense to me if they were robbed. Like, if that was a robbery, because, you definitely hear about that happening a lot in third world countries where people are like, I went to some, and I get roofied and I wake up and I don't have any of my stuff. Like, that would make sense to me. But if they're, and I don't know, William, like, is robberies like a component of this ever?
No, it's not. They're never really disclosed to the public that somebody went to their ATM or something. There have been a spate of robberies, druggings and robberies in Austin and New York City, actually, where people have died, but they never were affiliated with kind of like being thrown in a river. And then in my book, under the Austin cases, I do have like a full page of Tim Dillon's commentary about these types of deaths. And then he's also done a podcast on somebody who came forward and said, I think I was a victim of the smiley face killers and survived. And I can't remember what episode.
And what did the person who thought they were a victim of, what did they?
He said that he was classically out drinking, blacked out, woke up very close to a river, like somebody had thrown him somewhere where they thought he was just going to fall into the river, and drowned. And so that's what he thought when he came to. That was his belief, and that's what he told Dillon. It was kind of Dillon had a kind of earlier phase in his kind of career arc where he did more, conspiratorial type content. I don't think he does that as much.
Sure.
Have either of the two of you been roofied before?
No.
I've roofied myself before.
I've done that too, yeah.
I've taken GHB recreationally before, but I've never.
What was it like,
wild, bro?
It was kind of like being drunk. To be honest, it was kind of just like being drunk.
At the same time.
But yeah, you're conscious at the same time. You're like, you feel really drunk, but you're way more like way less like chaotic. Like, because when you're really drunk, everything's like you kind of you're like drunk, but you feel really drunk, but you kind of feel like more in control, I guess.
Did you remember everything?
Yeah. It was like I've only done it once, and it was I literally went to a Toronto Maple Leafs game. And my buddy, whatever, he had a thing of GHB, and we just got some Sprites and just poured it in, and I don't know why, but yeah. And then I threw up the next morning.
How long was the effect?
It was several hours. Yeah, it was definitely several hours. It was but
one of the reasons they don't find it is because GHB is endogenous. It's part of your like brain nervous system, right?
Right. So you can't.
Your body
test
will
for
process it out. Yeah, it's harder. You have to test right away because it'll, your body will just process it very fast. I think it's almost like the same.
And I'm pretty sure I've actually been roofied, not like intentional, like me myself intentionally, but like someone tried to roofie me, and it was like I think it was like,
where was it?
In Austin?
Like, it was like I think like the first month or the second month moved here to Austin. Yeah, I mean, I did wake up back home, but I was just like, I'm like, how do I only spent like money at like 2 bars, and I just woke up like missing like half my stuff. And
well, if you're missing half your
I just woke up
like anything valuable missing.
Yeah, it was like a phone and
okay.
Shit out of my wallet.
I mean, that is a thing
up,
that people do to rob you for sure.
Yeah, I did wake up with like a Jimmy John sandwich in my hand. So, I mean,
so it wasn't all bad.
It sucks. I mean, it's like, this is why when I go out to drink, bro, I just buy beers.
Yeah.
Like, knock it off with the cocktails, like the cocktails, and because they all have bunk liquor anyways. So
yeah, that's true.
You can't get a Fugazi beer cracking open a can or a bottle.
No, not unless like the bartender is in on it, and they're like, yeah.
They could be. I mean,
which I'm sure that happens.
A lot of speculation.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens. Weird, man. Well, I mean, I guess it's maybe it's the women who are kind of, this is like their some sort of weird feminist revenge where they're like, you've been roofing us forever, so now we're gonna roofie your ass and go fucking kill you and dump you in a puddle.
I think that these guys, bartenders, may get sick with some of the guests too, and get pissed off and drug them, because there's massive amounts of drugging at bars in L.A. apparently, New York City. So it happens. Like
Is that like the reverse of an angel shot? I like when ladies at the bar be like, "Can I get an angel shot?"
What's an angel shot?
I don't know what that is.
Or whatever they call it. Basically, like a chick is like some chick that is too much of a pussy to tell a bartender, like, "Hey, that guy's being a fucking creep." Like they're trying to be too. That's how they like politely say, "Hey, that guy's being a fucking creep," and they'll just ask. So y'all never heard of that?
No.
So they like intervene. So like the bartender tries to like intervene on their behalf, kind of thing.
Yeah, because they're spineless women who don't have any like sort of.
Yeah, they don't want to. They don't have to go make like a huge scene, so they just get the bartender to do it for them. I mean, that's crazy if you can get them to give you like a roofie drink for the guy who's bugging you.
Yeah, that'd be something else.
Yeah,
I've never heard that.
Yeah, I've never heard that. All right, Slav. Oh, go ahead.
The other part is other people mention is like I've never been on Rainy. Oh, the only place I go in like Austin really is just like the parks, or I go downtown to like comedy shows, like Creek and the Cave and stuff mostly. But that's what they say all the gay clubs are. And I know that there are many serial killers who they target the sodomites and the trannies and all that shit because most of their families won't care because they've just been disowned.
Well, that was in
really
Toronto. In Toronto, there was a famous. He ended up being like a serial killer. This guy Bruce MacArthur, and he was targeting all like he was in the gay on Church Street in Toronto, and he was targeting all like
all the Indians.
Well, it was and like a lot of like essentially like indigent people, because he's just like nobody will look for them, and forever people on like in the gay community in Toronto kept going to the police being like, all these people are going missing, and the police were just like didn't care. And then they eventually found like this guy ran a landscaping business, and they were going to like his clients' homes, and in like their like potted plants they were finding like remains and all this stuff. He was just like hiding them.
I know what's crazy is some of those families, they would show up to like the morgue, and they would they're looking at their like murdered homosexual son, and they're like, that's all in their actions saying that's not my son. Because I mean, bro, that shit is like funny in a dark sense. Nobody gives two shits about a dead faggot. So
yeah. All right. Thanks, Love.
Have a good night, y'all. Oh, stay safe when y'all drinking out there, fellas.
Right.
Watch your drinks. The dumb ladies taking too much of the credit.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Slav. Slav, everybody. All right. Let's take one more call, and we're going to wrap this up. Thank you again, William.
Yeah, my pleasure.
For joining me. It was very on brand for Slav. Hello.
Hey, Danny. Colton from Spokane, Washington.
Colton from Spokane, Washington. What's up, man?
Great show. Does this occult and elite have some ultimate plan to go after Christians?
I think so, to a certain extent. Yeah, I think so. I think, I talked about the 09A. It's definitely there.
Like it's specifically anti-Christian or just anti-religion?
They call them anti-Nazarene. So anything from the
Right.
Old or New Testament. But I think it's always been there. Like Crowley was very anti-Christian. And he actually wanted to replace, he wanted to be the new savior of the world, or the teacher of the world, replace Christ. So I think so. I think it's always been there. I mean, if you look at the Nazis, they wanted to ban Christianity. They just didn't have the right time to do it. So I think it's definitely in the occult. But if you're in Spokane, look up the case of Hudson Lindau, who disappeared and died in Moscow, Idaho, 6 months before the famous Moscow 4 murders. And it was a classic smiley face killer's victim. He was found literally by like a little creek, and the cops just wrapped it up and said, hey, he drowned in there. Literally like in 1 foot of water. Incredible. Hudson
Wow.
Lindau.
It's
Damn.
crazy that it just keeps happening like this.
Yeah, came out of a frat, like in that whole area. I guess the girls, when they died, they were close to Frat Row in Moscow, and Hudson Lindau, and the same thing. So, like, it's like somebody's hunting them late at night. And I wouldn't be surprised if Koberger had committed crimes before, too.
Sure.
Yeah, it's crazy because I actually went to school down there, so I know all what you're talking about. Yeah,
Dodged the
Look up
bullet.
Hudson
Yeah.
Lindau. Yeah, look up Hudson Lindau.
Huh. I wonder. Well, I mean, the Kohlberger thing though, he obviously changed because it was a stabbing for the 4. So
He was criminally sophisticated. He had studied under Diane Ramsland. Do you know who? Like, she did the book on the BTK killer. Like, she knew him, and he studied under her. He was like getting his like an advanced degree in like criminal forensics or something. So Koberger, I don't know what happened with him or what was going on with those deaths, but
yeah,
he's a smart guy. I don't.
yeah. Normally, those serial killers are. I want to say normally seem like not Richard Ramirez, but a lot of them seem above average intelligence for sure.
Yeah, I think he was above average intelligence.
Yeah, he does seem that way. All right, call. Anything else, caller?
Nope, that was it. Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Thanks, man. All right, we're going to wrap this up there. Jarhead in the chat says, what is the name of your podcast, William?
William Ramsey Investigates. So it's just their podcast. It's in the top 0.5% of podcasts in the world. I guess that puts me in the top 15, 20,000, I guess, somewhere.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of old shows. I've got tons of shows on the Smiley Face Killings, tons of audio, and you can go through there and you can see my documentaries on my Patreon, William Ramsey Investigates. You just pay $5. You can watch all my documentaries for free after you pay that. And my books are also available on Amazon. And that's about it. And I post a lot, maybe on X. And that's and I have a website, William Ramsey Investigates.
Cool. And how often do you put out new stuff? Weekly?
Oh, I have 1,200 episodes on my podcast, so I've actually been recycling a lot of my old shows. I was a guest for like 7 or 8 years before I started being a host. So I recycle those. I put out about 3 a day now.
Oh, okay. Cool. Everybody should check that out. And Mark, I believe we touched on this, but Mark keeps asking me to ask you about the origin of the smiley face symbol. But I think we talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back, like I said, Acid House, and other people have used it, but I think it goes back to Burroughs. I don't have like the real evidence, but there's all these people who kind of came out of Burroughs, like Cobain and these Acid House artists and Moore and Chuck Palahniuk.
Right.
And they all kind of use that symbol. So I think it has something to do with that, but it's also kind of like now in the common culture, you see people wearing hats with smiley faces.
Well, they have was it the from Forrest Gump with the Have a Nice Day?
Right. There's all kinds of weird occult stuff in Forrest Gump too. Like he's
Really?
making this sign. Yeah. He's making the sign above and below, just like Baphomet at one point, and he's wearing a downward facing pentagram. I mean, it's really something else. You should look up the occult Forrest Gump. Like,
I
it's
mean, a
unbelievable.
lot of rumors about Tom Hanks going around.
A lot of rumors. A lot of rumors by Isaac Capibo too. I don't know if they were ever confirmed, but
Yeah, well, he fell off a bridge, so that probably put a pin in that. All right, that's been the show, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Check out a new episode of The Bathhouse tomorrow night. Make sure to check out William's podcast. Follow him everywhere. We'll put all the stuff below in the description. Thank you very much, William, for coming on.
thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Appreciate
it's great
it.
to be with you.
Yeah,
nice to meet